All right, everybody, we'll give it a couple of seconds for the internet on all the platforms to catch up because we are live. Welcome, everyone, to episode 8 of the Level Up Your Wealth podcast. One of your hosts, Marcus Howard. Hey, I'm playing video games for fun and giving free shout outs to businesses. If you want to earn that, win that, click that link in the comments or you see scrolling, bit.ly/game on LinkedIn for tournaments. And so, again, one of your hosts, and then Mario, please introduce yourself.
What's going on, y'all? Hope all is well. Mario in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. It's not raining in Florida, so we're happy about that. So I'm just happy to be here, man. Happy to be here. And the market was up today, so we good.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And then joining us today is Ace, man. Billboard charting rap artist, hip hop extraordinaire, and game developer. You know, excited to learn more about everything you're doing, man. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me, man. It was good. Happy Wednesday. All
right. So what we're gonna do, as everybody knows, when we start off the new episode, we got that RPS, that rock, paper, scissors.gg. We're gonna talk about card games. Right now, we're gonna play a card game. Get your bets in the chat. Let us know if Mario's gonna win, if Ace is gonna win. We'll pick one of the winners. You get a free copy of Mario's book, Relax Investor, and my book. So Mario, if you'll share the screen up so we can get folks ready.
Are we talking about hip hop rubs heads like Birdman? This is gonna be another win for me, dude.
Okay. Let's get it.
All right. So let me share my screen. Boop. All right. So you ready?
All right. Here we go. So first to 10 points. Pick your card. You know, and we're gonna kick it off.
All right. So I picked already. Hold on now. I can't be losing now.
I feel like I shouldn't be looking at your screen. So let me.
Here we go. Everybody still get your bets in.
I'll let you pick first then. How about that? Because I can't see your screen.
Let's get it.
I can't see your screen. All right, I'll let you pick first. Yeah. Let me know the LA people. Y'all be so sneaky.
I'm not looking no more, by the way. This is
skill. You're just winning.
This is just.
Here we come. Uh-oh. Spoke too soon. Draw. All right. And actually, as we're playing, it's actually a correlation. It's a correlation from an investment standpoint and actually like just life in general to rock, paper, scissors, believe it or not. I can't tell you what the correlation is until the game's over with, though. But it is a correlation.
While they're playing, if you're tuning in live, let us know in the comments. We see some of your comments coming in through here, so let us know, man. We appreciate your support.
Even Steven. Too soon. So how's the weather out in LA?
It's 79 degrees.
79 degrees. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on, man? Hold on. Are we frozen?
I played. I'm waiting.
Did the game freeze on us?
Are you not able to choose?
He's not able to choose. He's not able to choose.
Yeah, I'm stuck on scissors.
Well, I'm stuck on rock.
All right. Well, so we're gonna call it here then, right? It looks like Ace won, had the most points going into the freeze.
Boo-hoo, kangaroo.
I wanted this rock to slide in. All good. I got locked in real fast.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm frozen too. Oh, what is going on here, man? Oh,
cool. You activated my trap card.
No, really. Like I was just locked on rock, just ready to. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, that was fun.
Talk about the music industry and how you got your start.
And how I got my start in music, man. Well, I would definitely first start off by saying there's a difference between being a musician and being in the music business. So as far as being a musician or just a general creative, I've always been a creative. Just grew up in a household like that. Started off with drawing. Illustration was my first art love. Then went into writing and theater, acting and all that, poetry, and then rapping came when I was in like middle school, but I was already doing like chorus and playing the saxophone and all kind of stuff. So I was always just like a creative person. Never really felt like there was a moment that happened. But as far as the pursuit of creating music, selling it, performing, again, that was like middle school. Like I was just always kind of doing that. It wasn't until I graduated from business school from Berkeley Haas when I realized that a lot of the stuff I did when I was a kid, a lot of the stuff that I did when I was in college wasn't necessarily like music business practices. Like I thought if I just mailed my lyrics to myself, that was considered copyright. So like once I realized that like there's music business and that's different from just knowing how to make things rhyme and make a crowd go, whoa, that's when a lot of the business practices started to take shape. So for that standpoint, that was 2016. And I never worked in any kind of like formal music space to get into the music industry. It was very much just like, hey, I have a gift, I have a product, I know people want it, let me give it to them. Let me figure out how to do this in a way that's sustainable, you know, rinse and repeat. So that was that for since 2016. And then I was simultaneously working at Deloitte Consulting. Then I went to Facebook on the consumer marketing team. And then after Facebook, I went to YouTube on the music partnerships team, but like specifically on the strategy and ops side of the house. But that was the first time that I worked in any kind of like music industry adjacent space as like a job. And it was largely, you know, part of it was attributed to the fact that like I'm also out here headlining my own shows, doing things, you know, I know what the music industry is from that vantage point, but then also I have like the actual business acumen to be able to do things as like a strategic advisor for the VP of licensing and, you know, things of that nature. So yeah, that's a little bit about my journey in and out of the music industry.
So let's dive deeper because anytime a person charts, like they do not know from a revenue standpoint how they can make. So tell people about like publishing, why it's important to get your publishing in order before you drop music, and how you can make money just from publishing alone.
For sure. So I would definitely just say that if you do not own what you put out, then you cannot earn from it. And it's one thing to say like, hey, I made this. It's another thing when the government says that you made it. So that's my answer for that. And as far as its importance, you know, I mean, especially in the streaming age, I mean, things just get played over and over and over again. Now, of course, like the rates as to which things, you know, value, that's a whole nother thing, right? But you have the mechanical side of that. You have like anytime your music gets synced or, you know, it's in a TV show, it's in a commercial, it's in video games or whatever, like having the actual like publishing rights to be able to say like, hey, I own this, I allow this, right? There's the complications underneath like what is music, right? You have like the master that, you know, you have to own the copyright side, and then there's also the publishing. There's two separate sides, but long story short, especially if you're an independent artist, I mean, it's just so much easier to be able to have your paperwork in order. And especially if you're just working with one producer, one songwriter, whatever, just like have all of that in writing. You know, you own this percent of it, you own that percent, right? It's typically easier to just be like, hey, especially for rappers, right? I worked with one producer. Hey, let's split it 50-50 as far as like ownership. Keeps it clean, keeps it simple. You have that documentation. If somebody wants to come get your music in a video game, you don't have to ask 55 people, especially if you're not using samples that you don't own of music that, right? You have to get approval from this estate or that estate to, in order for you to actually make traction and get to the next space, right? Like my like biggest advice on like just even how to operationalize publishing is just keep it simple. Less is more.
Yeah. All right. And so also to take a step further, as individuals, because of course you have like a lot of SoundCloud rappers per se, or SoundCloud didn't hear no more. Now it's the Instagram rappers, and you're always one hit away, right? So like, do you think it's better for a person to be independent? You think it's better for them just to get a distribution deal? Or do you think artists should still try to go over the major labels to kind of get the full push?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the situation. It depends on the circumstance. I'm definitely not gonna tell someone that, might be living paycheck to paycheck or no paycheck at all, and a label comes to them and gives them a significant amount of money to be like, yo, we want to put you on our roster for whatever reason. Like, yo, don't take that money. But that being said, I just think with everything, just be knowledgeable, understand like, what are you signing? What's the trade-off? What's the opportunity cost? Like, if they think you're worth 250K, does that mean that you're actually worth a million? Because they definitely want to make more than 250K off of you. But then also, like, being independent is hard. Being a founder is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard. Not everyone has to do that. Some people could just get a job. Like, it's totally fine to, live normal. So it depends on what your appetite is for the unknown, for living a savage life of having to eat what you kill. I'll leave it at that.
No, I think I think even though like Instagram and TikTok is great for information, but sometimes it gives us a disservice. Like it gives us like a false sense of what entrepreneurship is, like what really kind of truly what you feel per se is. It's a lot harder than what it looks like. You just
I think across the board. I think just straight up like knowledge without insight, or information without application, it don't really mean nothing. It could easily end up being us idolizing that which we don't fully understand. Do you know what I mean? So like, oh, if I got signed to name the label, then my life would be great. Like, you assume that, but like, if you don't really understand what you're saying, then you can't even be shocked by what's to happen. But if you know going in, like, yo, this is exactly what I expected, I know the terms, I got a lawyer to read it, he broke it down, she broke it down, this, and you know going in what you're going into, you can't even complain, right? But a lot of it comes down to ignorance. And it's very similar to like, yo, I got a dream, I'm gonna be a startup, and I'm just going, you don't got no plan, you don't got no market, you don't got no, right? Like, you can't be shocked by the result. But if you are delusional and you got a plan, Godspeed. That's incredible.
You talk about sustainability as an artist, and shout out to you for having 4 albums. One of the albums, I think the second, not the most recent one before that, talked about something, and you know the lyric better than I do, obviously, because you wrote it.
Do I don't know. We'll find out.
But about like people giving you shout outs or trying to, I don't know, I'm butchering it now, but basically like people
butcher it, man. Let's get through it.
People are trying to give you shit basically for working a side hustle, right? Like you have a 9 to 5, and you know that you have your own business, and maybe like at the surface level, everybody says, "Oh yeah, we support entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship," but like when the rubber meets the road, that's not exactly what happens.
What song was that? Because I'm trying. I must have said that because I very much
RTO. It was off RTO.
It was yeah. There's several songs on that. But Real Artists Don't Starve. That's the name of a book that I encourage artists to read. But the starving artist fallacy, I think, is unnecessary. Yeah, I very much encourage artists to get jobs if they need it, right? Like there's nothing wrong with having a job. And like, so, for me, there was a early on in a career, because, when I was younger and I was just rapping all the time, it was like, I was at Columbia University rapping because I wanted to just be in New York City. I'm a first generation Jamaican American. Like, going to college wasn't like, it wasn't, some kids grow up with like banners on their wall and stuff. That wasn't it. Like, it was just like, I'm going to New York where hip hop lives. And it just happens to be Columbia gave me like a really dope scholarship, full ride. I'm going in, cool beans, right? And I'm over here rapping, wearing, Daffy Duck gangster shirts and all kind of stuff. I was wild. And, I'm just rapping and I'm just thinking like, all it takes is just to be, a dope artist or whatever. But then when I go to business school and I graduate from that, it's like, I bet, like I mentioned earlier, there's actual business underneath this. So let's like figure this out. Let's da-da-da-da. but I'm also like strengthening my business skills at my job. Like I'm literally, a strategy ops consultant going into these top Fortune 100 companies, giving them advice on what to do with their business. I'm fresh out of business school and I'm like, oh, this stuff that I'm doing over here, giving them advice, thinking strategically, building decks at 3 a.m, traveling, all this kind of stuff. I could apply this to my right. And the same thing when I was at Facebook, same thing when I was at YouTube. So like this stuff that like, while I'm doing that to like grow my business, there'd be people in the industry like, oh, you're not a real artist because you're not doing it you're not starving. You're not, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, there's people that are artists that like, yo, but can you help me get a job at Facebook? You know what I mean? And so like for a minute early on, I was like, oh, like I gotta get out of this circumstance. I thought it was a bad thing. But then I spoke to one of my mentors who was just like, yo, stop trying to be an artist and just be an artist. Like you already are. You don't have to like, it's not like something that you get to, right? If you're a real artist, like you just are. And once that happened, then it was just like, yo, well, let me rap about my life. Let me rap about where I'm at instead of like, my first 2 projects was just like, yo, let me just show people that I can rap because I've been doing it my whole life. I can make things rhyme. But Airplane Mode, up into that was my first album. That's the one that hit the Billboard chart and everything. Like that for me was a mental shift, not just like from a, accolade standpoint, but just from like a mental shift when you listen to that album and everything since. I'm not hiding the fact that I have a day job. That's like my asset now, right? That's actually my advantage. That's actually what makes me different than a lot of, and it's not just like I have a day job. It's like, no, I'm at these companies like doing real things like you could check my resume. You know what I mean? You can talk to my referrals, my recommendations, right? Like these are like real things that I'm going through. And so all of a sudden now it added an extra layer of authenticity that only furthered my ability to be an artist, but then also furthered my ability to do the stuff at the job. Like it became more of an asset in the corporate space or in like these business settings that I was in because of the stuff I was doing outside of it. You know what I mean? It just started to become more and more synergistic. And, for me as a human being, it was just like, well, this is who I am, right? It was less about, I gotta be Peter Parker over here and Spider-Man over there. It's just like, yo, I walk around, without the mask, but with the full suit on. And like, y'all know I could just over here any second. Like, y'all know that? All right, cool. Let's run this meeting. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what it was from 2019 on. So, yeah.
So what made you, I don't know if you transitioned, but what made you want to get into like gaming and then incorporate hip hop into gaming?
First of all, I feel like to say that I grew up playing games, I feel like it's just an unnecessary statement to make, but I'll say it, I love games. I've been playing games my whole life. Game Boy and all kind of stuff. Like that's the early, right? Nintendo all the way up kind of vibe. And I also love trading card games. I started off with, I collected Pokemon cards, but I wasn't playing them. But I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I was playing Dragon Ball Z, CCG. I played Marvel VS System, Magic, all kind of stuff. I went digital, played Hearthstone, all the kind of stuff. So like that was on the low. You know what I mean? Growing up where I grew up, it wasn't really like something I touted, like who wants to da-da-da. I found my pocket, you know what I mean? I went underground. I found my people that I could play those kind of stuff with. But, I was also playing like Tekken, Street Fighter, all that kind of stuff, the things. But, in this spirit of just being me at all times and combining all of the aspects of who I am together as one, started to churn all these kind of things of like, well, what are the things that I like and what can I do that's specifically coming from something that like I would want to do or that I enjoy doing. And early, like a few years ago, I was just like, yo, what if instead of rappers and what if instead of magicians and dragons and, orcs and stuff that you see in like traditional trading card games, you had rappers instead. And so like, that for me was just like a idea that came out of nowhere, but it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm trying to like make something. I was just like, would that actually make people want to play trading card games more? Because the thought that I had in my head was, this is a popular like system. They're like the TCG space is big. It's not small by any means, but there's this like notion that it's fringe or that it's like on the outskirts of some sort, when in actuality, like I just feel like it's not marketed to people massively, and it's in and there could be various reasons as to why or why not, and there's certain hypotheses that I personally have. But one idea that I have is like, well, if this was based off of the top, or definitely among the top music genres in the world, where so many people across the globe learn how to speak English, dress, like the whole concept of style, fashion, what is cool, slang, all this kind of stuff, if it influences the world at that capacity, like what if there was a system that is just as vast as the collective notion of how many rappers are out there in the world and how many different combinations of da-da-da. And like, what if these, we grow up in this world, especially when you're like knee deep in hip hop, you're not unfamiliar with these rappers having alter egos, or just even the fact that like we have nicknames and different styles. And, Ghostface Killer calls himself Iron Man and Tony Stark, and you have MF Doom, and you have, Tech Nine with his paint, and like all these kind of things, like that's already in the culture. So like, what if like we did have superpowers? Like, what if that was really a thing? And, again, growing up, comic books and stuff like it's popular, or it was popular, but it wasn't something that you just ran out in the street saying like, yo, did you like check out that new X-Men thing, right? Whereas like now, Miles Morales is like one of the top selling superhero movies of all time. And this is a black kid, Afro Latino from Brooklyn wearing Jordans, listening to Sway Lee, right? Like this is the superheroes of our day. And so, but this was an idea that I had years ago. It's like, what if we were combining like TCGs, gaming, comic, and anime and rap at the same time, and just made it dope. And like, it just started being something that I could not let go. And I just kept iterating on the idea, tweaking it, prototyping step by step, met an investor. He was like, you got to do this right now. And the rest was, had to keep going.
How long have you been working on the game for?
Man, so we officially founded as a company earlier this year. And I met Marcus actually in June of 2022. This was like halfway through the year when I caught the bug. So I spoke to, shout outs to Daryl Frater. I spoke to him November 21. And, I was like, yo, shout outs to my wife, first of all, because she was putting up with me. Printing pieces of paper out of her law school, testing this idea when I should be working on music or getting ready for my next show or focus on my job or whatever the case. And she kick open the door and she see me playing with these cards. She's like, why are you wasting your time, But she put up with me. And when, presented her, like just represented like the business case behind it, right? Once it was like, it's less about, oh, Ace has this like silly little idea, but the more I kept talking about it to people, right? When I met Marcus and I told him, when I met so-and-so and I told her, when the more I saw, like I went to GDC and spoke to all the black people, all the brown people. I went to all the round tables. I was like, yo, what if we had a game like this? They're like, oh my God, like, is it out now? Like, where can I sign up? Like just the immediate feedback. I was like, oh, this is like, I have to, right? So that like 2022 was a lot of like, getting stuff together, finding contractors, just like getting the foundation of what the vision could be. And then we got into Techstars music at the end of 2022, top of 2023. Adam, who's our lead developer, he was the first one that just jumped on board with this crazy idea. It was just like, yo, like, because I'm not a coder. We're doing this, mobile first now, but just digitally, right? Even though the concept was built with physical in mind, starting off digitally, he has the digital prowess, but he also like loves hip hop, loves TCGs, came on board. We went through Techstars music at 2023, top of 2023. And now we have a team of 7 that we're just cranking away. Got a demo that is like 1 to 2 weeks. I'm giving it a range because it's actually going to be a surprise drop to our community. But folks just signed up to play, get limited access, but the demo's here. We're literally just like squashing a couple extra bugs, making sure it don't randomly freeze. But you know, we out here, like it's really happening. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm hyped.
Nah, that's awesome. I mean, you can't. I know you got the demo. You can't give away everything, but
Nah.
Tell me about the gameplay and some of the objectives of the game.
Yeah, no, definitely. So first and foremost, it's a trading card game. We're actually building it for folks that have never played trading card games. If you have played a trading card game, you'll appreciate the depth that this game can have. But by and large, we're doing things like giving you decks, starter decks that you can choose from, making it very easy for you to just get into the game without you having to necessarily think about the different combinations of cards and all those kind of things. But you would have a deck of 30 cards. I would have a deck of 30 cards. There's 3 different card types. There's an artist card, which is your typical, like, your creature, if you will, that like goes on stage and it has an attack value, a defense value, and then a special ability, a cost. Then you have your event cards, which affect the general stage of the game. It can increase the amount of resources that you have to play your cards. It could, make your opponent's cards weaker. It could make yours strong, things of that nature. And then you have item cards. That's the third kind. So like a chain would be an item. You equip it to your artist. They get extra abilities, so to speak. Dark spirit, I don't want to give all the items away, but like, velvet slides. All right, I'm giving too much. So that's like the general notion.
You have
right?
one that's a pyramid that
Not yet. But the range, I like where your head's at. And so, the general notion, right, is like you have cards in your hand, you play cards out. Your artists are typically the ones that are doing the battling for you. My artists battle your artists and vice versa. Any damage that gets done to you affects your health bar. When your health bar is at 0, you lose, and vice versa. And that's it. It's a very fast-paced game. Rounds are typically like 4 to 5. They could be as short as 3. They could be as long. Well, max is 12, but we haven't seen that. It can happen, but they're very fast. So the other thing that I'll say is that all the cards fall into at least one of the 5 styles that we have. So there's the chill style, the party style, the hardcore style, the emo style, and the conscious style. Mm-hmm. Then we also have like this colorless freestyle style. But generally speaking, those 5 primary styles, they have their own kind of uniqueness to them. They're different kind of play styles where like hardcore might be really aggressive and, fast paced, just kind of want to like, a lot of strong artists, maybe not as defensive, right? Whereas your chill artists,
like a Busta Rhymes.
I'm not gonna say names, but like, right, it's just like aggressive, whereas like party is about like, hey, money is power, right? So, you get to like get more resources to spend, and like that's how you kind of, right? They can fly, so they can attack you directly without having to attack any of your artists on stage, and much more. Everyone has their own style, and so just really being able to showcase, right, like what could that mean? Having a hardcore versus a conscious, or a chill versus an emo, what would that gameplay look like? And then in the future, of course, like being able to like mesh and meld and, have all kind of combinations based off of players' interests. I mean, there's so much more as far as like what this game could be, but I'll leave it there for now.
Man, that's so dope. So last year when you was doing the research phase, did you like carve out a target audience, or do you have a target audience, or is really just kind of anybody who loves hip hop can, you think should everybody should play the game, but do you have a target audience, or you think it's for everybody?
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely don't ever want to say it's for everybody. And anybody can play. This is not like an exclusive game, but we're very much targeting hip hop lovers that also love video games and love comic books and anime, particularly female hip hop lovers and gamers.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't like, especially because when you look at just who is indexing and playing trading card games, it's usually like 75-25, like skewing male. And I just feel like they're not included in the thought process of like who should play this game. And like, we're just, especially when, and this is what I'm personally excited about as somebody that's a hip hop fan, makes hip hop music, like it is really sad when you think of like if someone asks you like who's the top 3 rappers alive, like are you going to name Missy Elliott in there? Are you going to throw Nicki Minaj or Lil Kim or Queen Latifah? Like are these names going to even cross your mind, right? And like a lot of that is by structural design, right? You think about how like you couldn't have Foxy Brown and Lil Kim breathe the same air. You couldn't have Nicki Minaj and Cardi B breathe the same air. Now you have a whole bunch of female artists, not to say that there weren't in the past, but because of technology and the ability to just get your own name out there, like you don't have to go through gatekeepers necessarily. But now there's a whole different conversation about like the state of female rap and all these kind of things. But for me, my desire is just to like, as somebody that's already been like the one of only in so many different places, though hip hop is universal and though this game, like anybody can identify as a hip hop lover. And so it's not like we're just targeting like a specific demographic from a ethnic standpoint or whatever. I'm also very intentional about the fact that like it's very easy to overlook those that are already overlooked. And so we just don't want to do that. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Now, shout out to my female rappers. I mean, I'm biased. I think Nicki Minaj is the best female rapper of all times, but that's just a whole conversation.
But like, we shouldn't even have to say best female rapper. I'm sorry. That's I'm gonna relax. I ain't trying to mansplain you. You know.
Not the facts though. Not facts. Not very, very true. So, have you got any feedback from any hip hop artists like yourself? And what was their feedback about the game, about the concept? Have any other artists demoed it, and what was their thought process about the game?
Man, it's funny you asked that because I've spoken to a few. One person in particular, I won't say names, but very much had no talking about, which is fine. But it goes back to like who's the target. Like I don't just want hip hop artists for the sake of it. You know, I don't want, just like I don't want numbers for the sake of it. I don't want just people playing just so I can say, look at people playing. Like I actually want this to be something that people want. And so I've really been focused on, there are, in contrast, artists that are like asking me like, yo, can I be in the game? Right. And so that's the range, right? You have, if there's a 2x2 of like celebrity to indie and like cares about the gaming and specifically this game versus not, it's like, I'd rather be in the space of like folks that care about the game, celebrity or not, I'm indifferent to, but I have been speaking to rappers in all 4 quadrants and it's very interesting. It's fun, but it just furthered my point as far as like, who is this game for and really building for that. Like right now, you know, we asked for people to sign up and people maxed out within like a few hours, right? And this is awesome. On a Wednesday. And so it's like, I just want to give it to people that want it. And I think also part of my disposition is because when I was making music or, you know, when I was being creative, it was never because I had to, you know, I had to because I'm an artist. I live and breathe this stuff. I like to, you know, see syllables do the thing that they do when they do them with me. But like, I'm not doing it because it's like, oh, if I don't do this, like I'm not going to eat. It's like I already, you know, real artists don't starve. I'm doing this because I truly feel the value and the impact of what it is that I'm doing. And so very similarly, although I am hunting my own meat, I'm very much in that mindset of like, I'm not trying to, you know, it's the equivalent of like somebody coming up to me. If you've never heard my music, you should do it. Not y'all, but like those that are listening. But it's like somebody coming to me and be like, yo, you got to make a strip club anthem because that's what'll, you know, it's like, I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm not going to like intentionally, this is what's going to get them pot. Like, it's not me. And so like very similarly, when I think about just like who to market this game to, it's just like, yo, you gotta do what's actually like right to you. And I'm just not trying to do nothing otherwise. I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's how I felt.
No, that's cool.
How important is feedback, user feedback to your process? And can you also talk about the process of publishing a game?
Yeah.
You maybe want to get into game development.
You know, it's interesting. So first of all, feedback is largely important. You know, just everything, internal feedback, external feedback. I think if you have an idea, it's not enough. You especially when it's one thing when it's a song, it's another thing when it's a video game, but both of them are kind of similar in the sense of like, typically, if you're making a song, you should, hey, what do you think about this? Not that you're making the song for others, but you gotta, like, there's supply and demand. There's as soon as you get into the, hey, I'm not just making this in the bedroom for myself, I'm actually making this for others, you have to meet the others where they are. And so you can be very dope and lyrical, but if the audience that you want to serve does not want that, well, then you need to figure out how to get these things together. And so very similarly with video games, it's like, cool, you start off, dope idea, and you could do this and do that and da-da-da-da, and then I give it to Mario, and Mario's like, I have no idea what's happening. And he's like in the market. That's an issue, right? And so you have to understand, like, what do you need to do to take your precious idea, and maybe it has to shift a little right. Maybe this has to go away. Maybe you have to add this. And that's a part of the process. You can't get too wedded, too married, to like, oh, but that's my baby. It has to be exactly the way, you know what I mean? The way that I wrote the line that day has to stay like that. It's like, well, you can do that if you want, but that's not going to lead to the most success. And so I just feel like if you want to be successful, you have to be willing to accept feedback and adapt to it. As far as publishing, I mean, I feel like I don't got any like special things to say. Like, do it. I don't know. I feel the same way about music. It's like, what's going to stop you in 2023 from pushing the button and getting your music out on Spotify? Like, you? What's really cool, especially being at the stage that we're at right now, like, there's just so many different resources without even having to go through large distribution in order to get your stuff out into people's hands. Like, you could literally go on itch.io and just like give people access to your game, and they can pay for your game too through that same platform. Like, you could send somebody a Google Drive and just be like, download this link. Like, there's so many. I don't know, for me, publishing is just more about like the end, like getting it out of your hands into the hands of others. That part's not complicated. I think all the work that you need to do before you get it into people's hands, and then all the feedback that you need to collect afterwards so that you can iterate and bring it back in a newer fashion. I think that's more of that's like the space that I live in. And like, I don't know, publishing's kind of like, but I could be ignorant. I've been doing this for 10 months.
So talking about that, so when you was doing your research and everything last year, did you make a concerted effort or like a strategic strategy to drop the game this year doing the 50 years of hip hop, or did it just kind of just happen like that?
It's alignment.
Okay.
Alignment. If you ask me, yeah, no, it just worked out that way, yo. It's crazy. It's beautiful.
Stars align. The stars
I love
align.
it. I love when things happen like that. Glory to God, yo. I'm not complaining.
Facts, man. That's cool. So again, talk about, because I do business for a living, so I always like the business side of it. So like expansion. So we have the demo we're going to release. From expansion standpoint, are we thinking about doing more like tournaments? Like, how are we going to get the word out the quickest, and kind of how we're going to be able to scale the game?
Yeah, I love where your head's at. As far as like go-to-market growth plans, I mean, there's really just three things. It's definitely community-driven growth, referral, tournaments, all those kind of things. There's partnerships with various individuals that are aligned with our mission and actually like what we're doing and want to build in a co-branded, co-marketing fashion. And then there is just like events, showing up where you need to show up in the spaces where the culture aligns, where your people will be, and just being out there, letting them know that this is existing, that where have you been all our lives, you need to be here. And that's really the three tenets.
Okay.
Do you see physical cards into next year, or is there going to be kind of a larger focus on the digital pieces? I remember you telling the story about you had the printed cards, but obviously, like that doesn't have the same immediate scale opportunity that digital does.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's no rush on the physical cards, but it can happen.
Yeah.
When the time is right, when it feels right. I more so just want us to have the community of players. And the players can tell us, right? Like right now we have people, they just want to play the game. We've just been teasing it for a few months, you know what I mean? And not teasing it in like negative ways. I mean, we've been grinding, but we've been letting them know like, yo, we're grinding, so they're aware that we've been grinding. And like we are at the point now where it's like, yo, boom, so that's like first things first. But like it might end up just being like, yo, the community's like, yo, fam, like 5 mics, like what's good? We want to like play this at the dining room table. And then, that might be the thing. But for right now, yeah, just fleshing out the game, giving it to people, iterating off of that, staying mobile first. That's definitely the strategy right now. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about like it's the range of like going physical, going into like transmedia opportunities, being at a point where we can like showcase and break new artists in our game. Like all those kind of things are very much on the visual landscape for sure.
Yeah, I found out about Yu-Gi-Oh through the cartoon. So I was watching the cartoon before I ever played the card game, and rest in peace to the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh. I think he saved some families in like some kind of storm or something. He drowned. It's interesting that you had that approach. I also wonder, like, as you're growing the game and into the next phase, once you have the demo done, does Kickstarter have a place in the future of this? If you have people who are excited?
I haven't thought of it in a really intense way. Not to say that I haven't thought about it at all, but just not intensely.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Kickstarter is work. All like getting signed to a major is work. Being independent is work. Like,
yeah,
it's not easy to just be like, yo, let me just whip up this Kickstarter real quick. So we're a lean team, man. To get my team to go from like product development to let's like Kickstarter's work. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I had 2 failed Kickstarters for my book. I failed back-to-back times, and then I had to go through like the depression recovery of failing back-to-back times. So yeah, I hear you. No complaints here.
It's work. I just want the game to work. I want the game to work. Kickstarter's work, man. That's cool. That's my thoughts.
So lead us back to the process. So I know you was thinking about making a game. You was building relationships. You said you found your investor. So kind of talk to us about like that relationship, why it's important to find investors who believe in your business, and then like the importance of relationships when it comes to growing and scaling.
Yeah, so we went through the Techstars Music Accelerator program, and so they provided us our initial funding. We also went through the accelerator and got, in addition to just money, we also got advice, mentors, advisors, a high pressure environment with dope other founders that are also like working really hard, and we have to every single week show what we've done the week prior, and are we like meeting our goals and metrics and all those kind of things. And so that definitely helped us to develop a version of the game that at the very fundamental basics of it was able to validate that the game is fun. Now it's very janky, and shout outs to Marcus and his students from earlier that year, because they were also able to test it and, get through it. This was like no tutorial, no UI UX design, no like logical flow, just dumped them into this game and said, figure it out. And like with that being the environment, getting the positive feedback that we did get, along with the feedback of, hey, you should add UI UX, you should add this, you should do it up, blah, blah, blah. Like 75% of the people that we sent the link to try to download it on their mobile phone. And this was a desktop application. That alone, right, that kind of insight that we got through the accelerator is what then made us pivot to the point where we're at right now, where the demo is going to be able to be played on your phone, right? Vertically too. And so like, that's the kind of, when we're talking earlier about feedback, like if you're going to be ignorant to something like that, like that's going to slow your ability to succeed. Right.
Yeah.
So that for sure, that was dope. And then as far as like the importance of like maintaining relationships, I just feel like, I mean, I wouldn't be talking if I didn't meet Marcus didn't meet me. We didn't have like the dope conversation. Like my daughter was 1 month pregnant. We're having this phone call. I hear his kids running around in the background. He's like, oh, by the way, like about to have my third. And we're just like bonding on that and all this kind of stuff. And like we need more Black people in gaming and all this kind of stuff. And that was like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. No, yeah. I'm blind. I'm blind at time. Like a year and a half ago. And, but like that could have been a one and done, right? Anybody that you meet could have been a one and done. Right. But what are you like willing to do to keep a relationship alive? And I honestly just feel like it has to be genuine. It has to be authentic. I think you should have to genuinely be curious about like the other person. You have to be willing to just appear and how can I help and Marcus is great at that. And I see how y'all bond on these talks and I just see the chemistry and it's a beautiful thing. And it's like, but that it also comes with time, right? Like if you just come in, if you're just transactional, if every time you reach out to somebody it's because you want something, if it's like all that kind of stuff, like people could read that. Like you don't want somebody like, tugging at your pockets every single day unless it's your child. Like that's, and even then you gotta be like, relax. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like that, you just got to think about it like that, I would say. But I don't know, I'm a people person. I like hanging out with people. I think it's cool. I like being of service. And so I just really think about like, if somebody's cool, like be cool. That's how I think about it. Less esoteric, but that's what it is.
Yeah, now I definitely agree. I would say like all my like major successes, like even when it comes like the building my investment firm, it was built on like relationships, on referrals, and meeting the right person. And here she referred me to one person. When it comes like my tech company, relationships, I'm starting that. So I definitely agree, man. Like you definitely don't want to have a conversation and that be that. Like being transactional, you're right that people can see through that. You know what I'm saying? If you're transactional, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. Hey, what can you do?
He was going somewhere. Right. No, facts. And like, what's interesting too was dope too is like in this current space, and I feel like y'all also feel this way just in developing the brand that y'all have been developing, is fan base relationship and engagement with your audience is very important. And, when other people own your fans, you may not feel how monumental it is or needs to be. You might not feel that sense of like, oh, if I don't manage this, like my brand won't thrive. I was just at the Music Tectonics conference a couple of weeks ago, and somebody on the stage was like, the music industry doesn't have a monetization problem, it has a fan engagement problem. And like that, just even taking a step back and broadening it across industries and across like personal businesses or what have you, like we need to be thinking about how are we pouring into the relationships of those that are pouring into us and our brands and what we're building and establishing. Like, are we only tapping into them because we want them to come to the thing that we are doing, or are we giving back? Are we giving value to them in more ways than just trying to, because if not, then we're just trying to sell them something, right? If everything's a promotion, no, they don't want that, right? That's us tugging at them. And so if we are, right, like it's the free game, free knowledge, free tips, free, hey, sign up over there, this person's doing big things. It's the, hey, did you hear about this? It's the, right, it's the value, like how are we just giving them value? And then people feel indebted, like psychologically, when it's like, wow, this person's given so much to me. Like, who am I to not show up and give back, right? And it's not that you do things with strings. I mean, now we're getting real, like, but it's not like you're doing stuff with strings attached. You're doing it because you genuinely want to pour in value to the people that you want to serve. Like if we are in a servant mindset, it's not even a thing. it's not even a thing. Like, this is what I do. And people value that more than just like, oh, you trying to start up your little thing so you could da-da-da-da. Like, one person out of nowhere, I like posted this video of like, yo, this is what we're building, da-da-da-da. And this person said like, oh, this is a cash grab. I was like, how? I was like, tell me, where is this cash actually? You know what I mean? Because like, we're doing it because we love it. You know what I mean? Like, we can, right? Like, so please enlighten me. I missed it. Like, show me the cash, you know? Maybe we could get there together.
You recently hosted, I think, the LA chapter of Blacks in Gaming. Can you talk a little about
that? Yeah, no, I can't take all the credit for that. Nah, shout outs to the squad. But yeah, what were you gonna ask? Sorry.
Yeah, just you talk about what that experience was and a little bit more about like Blacks in Gaming as a whole.
Yo, it's dope. I mean, like, shout outs to Black in Gaming, the foundation. If any of y'all are Black in gaming, love gaming, want to be in gaming, are an ally or some kind of affiliate towards gaming, definitely sign up and be a part of the community. We could always use more members to chat and vibe. There's a lot of career opportunities and, you know, resume reviews. We could also use volunteers and just, you know, helping to onboard people and you know, play games and just vibe and stuff. That event in particular was really cool. It was really dope to see, you know, folks from the AAA space, indie space, making games, love playing games. We just talked, vibed, got to meet one another. And, you know, it's something that we definitely want to do more of for sure. I would say that for me personally, it's cool to be like, yo, I'm Black in gaming, you know, and it's nothing really stops anybody from saying that, you know, if that's how you feel, if that's what you believe, then that's what it is. And it was very similar to when, you know, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be an artist. I'm an artist. And like, all right, cool. Like, there's no grand reveal. There's no like trumpets playing. It's just like, I bet. Cool. Now what? Right. And so being able to be a part of the actual community and contribute in whatever kind of capacity that I can, that's my like, and now what? Right. Just wanting to give to the community.
That's dope. What do you think needs to happen to have more African-American representation in gaming, right? Like, I mean, Blacks play it, but like, what needs to happen to have more representation, you think?
Well, what's interesting, the Revolt Summit, maybe a couple weeks ago or whatever, there was a hip hop and gaming talk with like Lupe and T Grizzly, Young M.A., Miss Basketball. That was dope because like I think for us, maybe, well, not us, because we know, but like for most people that are in gaming, like OD, they're very shocked that there are people that don't understand the economics of gaming in specific communities, especially the ones that over-index in being consumers in gaming. And so I feel like that talk was a very like, that was like a primer for like folks that really don't know. It was like an aha moment. And it was like, what? Like, my favorite rapper plays games? What? It was that, but like, we need those. We need that. We need just, you know, more us. Hey, these are a thing. Like, I mean, you know, y'all do it all the time with like this and the book, having this kind of, right. It takes that, it takes like more Miles Moraleses, more, you know, Miss Americas and Miss Marvels or not Miss America, America Chavez, and, you know, just more of that, right? Like just seeing all that stuff. But like, you know, Dungeons and Dragons was a movie. Super Mario Bros. Is a movie. Like, I feel like we're actually coming to a space where it's not as dire as like the generations prior. I feel like the generations prior were like, this is just a thing. You know, I feel like me, my brothers and younger, like games is games. Like, it's not even like a thing to, right? And so I think the last component of it is just education, like in a formal setting, right? In the schools, like having it be a track, having it be like a, you know, hey, yeah, you can do computer science and like build apps, or you can build games. Like, hey, you can learn Python and you can learn C#, right? For very specific reasons. And like having that be more a part of curriculums, I feel like is important. And then of course, like, then it's the career pipelines, more entry-level jobs. I feel like a lot of jobs in gaming and in tech are like, hey, you need 5-6 years of experience first before you can step foot in the door. So like, we gotta internships and then like the entry and that, right? And like, it's the whole thing, but especially, for communities that have just been kept out. I mean, gaming by and large still feels kind of risky. Like, why do gaming when I can be an accountant? Like, I want to be a financial advisor like Mario, And like, what is the allure of gaming, right? Is it the same thing as like being signed to a major label? Like, if we can really see that, like, okay, this is a job, like there's jobs in gaming, there's being a gaming influencer, which is like, name your favorite celebrity kind of insert role. There's things in between that are transferable skills. If you've done event planning for Salesforce, you could do event planning for this esport, right? Like really breaking down, like, what does it mean to even work in this space? And then the last part, is just like, if you're going to be in gaming, like just understand, like, you can't just say because you love gaming. That's like wanting to work in the music industry because you love music. Like we said at the top, man, like, everybody loves gaming. Everybody loves music. So
Now, facts. Now, I think to your point, that was dope, and I think when we think of like people making money in gaming, it's like you think about the influencers, but there's so many jobs. Like you think if a person has an event space, like they can host gaming tournaments and just make money that way and cater to African American gamers like Marcus, who has tournaments. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just gonna have tournaments with your hip hop card. So to your point, it was good to put a spotlight. I just wish it was more spotlights putting on some of the other jobs out there that can make a person money that's not the influencer. Because we're all, I mean, even though you're a rapper, we're not all rappers and influencers.
Don't be like me, yo. Go get a job.
Get a real job.
I'm dead serious. I'm so serious.
That's good.
We're running up on time here, man. Thank you so much. I know you've got a lot going on with the game and the demo, and so we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come share the agenda. We're excited to see the demo when it's live, before the end of the year. I missed the opportunity. I saw the email. What's today, Wednesday? I saw an email this morning about the waitlist.
I got you. I'll send you a special link. Don't tell me.
Later today, I'm going to do that. And you're like, yeah, it's all sold out.
Nah, I'll send you a special link, man.
Appreciate that. But before we go, let us know again, and everybody who's listening, how they can support you and 5 Mics and what you got going on. And then also, if you'll pick anyone who's had comments and engaged with us tonight, want to give them a free digital copy of Mario's book and my book as well.
No, for sure. So best ways to stay in touch with what we're doing, 5mics.io, FIVEMICS.io. Join the waitlist. We'll have more secret surprise drops for folks that are in the community for them to test out the game, and would love to collect your feedback, get you involved, maybe get you in the game itself. The options are endless. And then shout outs to Tanaka. I love all of the exclamation points that he dropped in the comment. We'll go with him. That's my guy, by the way.
All right. Well, congratulations, man. We'll get that to you after the show's over. Mario, let everybody know where they can support you and what you got going on.
Yeah. Just y'all can at me. Just either Google Mario Payne, I pop up, or at Painful Profits, PAYNE.
You froze a little bit there, but Painful Profits, PAYNE. You finish it off.
Oh, man, the internet don't want me to win today. No, I was saying you can just Google Mario Payne or just Painful Profits. So PAYNEFUL Profits. So hit me up.
Excellent. And then again, if you want to play video games, we're playing all kinds of games. We're gonna play some shooting games, some puzzle games, some card games, all kinds of games. Check the link out bit.ly/game on LinkedIn. If you win, you get a free shout out for your business. So, there's no money in. It's just a lot of fun and community. And then next week, speaking of fun and community, we'll be bringing on Joshua Nelson, who's going to do a live video launch. I think he's been working on a new concept that's called battle racing. It's like Mario Kart in real life. So think like Speed Racer, the movie, but in the real world with real cars on a real track. So it's gonna be a ton of fun. We'll see you next Wednesday, so a week from today. And until then, y'all have a great week, and we can't wait to see you again so we can help you, level up your wealth. Y'all have a nice evening. See you later.